Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational 80 podcast. We'll be right back with today's special tech guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. So don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for 3 minutes. These are all great companies. You should be using them. So listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these companies because you're going to be very glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards for their support of the podcast. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our kids loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day. Things like scheduling, rosters, results. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com for more information. That's it, homecampus.com. We want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, and it was a great experience. It's totally online, very affordable, just 20 months. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. For more information, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that type of information is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. And we want to say thanks to Gipper. Your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content from you that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com. Let them help you get started today.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Regular listeners are going to recognize this name. If you're new, you're in for a treat. Jennifer Garrett is our guest. She's one of our regulars on our Wednesday Wisdom segment, but you'll see why she's on Tech Tuesday today. Jen has an incredible background in leadership. She is a successful entrepreneur. She's going to talk about a milestone with that today. Very successful best-selling author. She hosts her own podcast. She's an executive leader. She's a professional, works with NFL athletes in the area of branding. Just a dozen other things. Oh, by the way, she's got 7 college degrees. The only negative thing we can say is that she's a proud graduate of the University of Alabama. But Jen Garrett, welcome to your very first Tech Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Jake, for having me on Tech Tuesday. And funny you mention the University of Alabama. I actually changed my shirt to do this show with you. I was wearing a University of Alabama sweatshirt. I was like, okay, let me put on a dress shirt instead to look more professional. So yes, I am a proud alum, 2-time alum of the University of Alabama. And thank you again for having me on the show. Yeah, I'm excited to be here as part of Tech Tuesday. We've done many other shows together. And you know me, I'm very much a positive vibe, energy kind of person. So I like to start off our segments doing something along those lines. And so today, I want to talk about commitment first. And something I tell my 15-year-old daughter, I have 5 kids, is I always have these word of the days, and they're usually the same ones, which is prepared and observant, because they're 2 very important ones. But today's word of the day is going to be commitment, because when oftentimes we'll agree to do something or we'll sign up for something and then we don't follow through on that, and we fall short. It's easy if there are other people that are driving that accountability. But what happens when it's just us, right? Are we sticking to our commitments and honoring them? And the reason I thought about this, Jake, was this morning. So my kids don't have school today. My 15-year-old daughter stayed the night at her friend's house yesterday. So she texted me this morning saying, hey, can I not go to driver's training this afternoon? And I was like, no, you signed up for this. You committed to this schedule. And while would the world end if I said, you can reschedule it? No. But I didn't want her to get into that habit. Like, this is what you set on your schedule. So yes, while you want to hang out with your friends, this is the commitment, right? So you have to honor that commitment. And so I started thinking about how that translates to our own lives. Like, are we honoring the commitments that we as adults are setting for ourselves? You know, we all have goals, whether that's career, business, or other things. Oh, and the milestone I didn't share yet. Yeah, it's my 5-year anniversary today of entrepreneurship. So I'm so excited to be here with you and sharing that, Jake. So thank you I'm glad that the schedule worked out and we can celebrate that together. But, you know, are we honoring those commitments that we set for ourselves that align with those goals that we're pursuing? Again, whether it's business, career, life goals, personal goals, whatever it is. So I would just encourage those listening today to really think about, am I doing that? I'm signing up for things personally and professionally. Am I staying committed to those things? And then also when we're working with other people, whether it's teammates, colleagues, customers, whoever it might be, are we honoring our commitments to them? Are we giving them things that we say we're going to give them in the timelines that we say we're going to deliver them by? Are we following through on the actions that we tell people that we're going to take? So that's just kind of my little motivational thought for the day that I want you to think about is, are you honoring your commitments and making sure that you're doing the things that you say that you're going to do, either for yourself or for other people? So the other 2 things I wanted to talk about today go into the world of branding and networking. These are 2 topics that we've discussed previously, not as part of Tech Tuesday, but as another segment on your show, Jake. And I think it's important that we all focus on, are we creating and maintaining a personal brand that is consistent with what we want the world to see through technology, such as social media platforms, maybe it be LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever your digital presence is, and then are we leveraging technology tools to be able to network and connect with the people that are important for what our goals are. And I think that that's something that a lot of people that I come across, and then just other people that I might not know, may be struggling with or not necessarily prioritizing. So I wanted to just bring that into today's conversation. And on the personal branding side, how are you holding yourself out? Both in the physical space when you're interacting with people face to face, as well as digitally. On the technology side, the digital side, are you positioning yourself as a thought leader, as an expert in the areas that you want to be known by? Because when you do that, that's when the opportunities come your way, whether it's that next job or it's just some cool project you get to be a part of. But you got to put yourself out there. You got to create a brand that you want people to know you by, and then be consistent with that in what you do, what you put out online. Are you posting content that showcases yourself as that thought leader, as that expert in your field? Excuse me, my voice has been kind of hoarse, so I appreciate everyone bearing with me. But I think it's important to really maintain a focus on that and being intentional with how are we holding ourselves out, and then identifying as part of that brand, what is your unique value proposition to the world? Like, what do you bring that makes you unique and special, and integrating that into that personal brand and that online presence. So I think that's something that I would also challenge you guys to think about. What do people think about me? Your personal brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So take a minute and think about, what would people think of me, and be honest. I mean, this is, you got to be honest and self-aware, right? And think about what are those things that other people think of when they hear your name, as an example. And then once you know what that unique value is, how can you leverage that and create opportunities, in part by building and having an influential network? And that's another thing you and I have talked about, Jake, before, is networking, right? So many people don't prioritize networking. It takes work. It's not something that comes natural for people, but it's something that's important if you want to move the ball, as I would say, and really get to where you want to go in your career, and just in anything you want to do in life. And so I would again challenge people to think about, are you networking? Are you prioritizing it? And then if you are or are not, how are you connecting with people when you are trying to network? Are you focused on the transaction, on what can you do for me? Or are you focused on building genuine, authentic relationships with people, getting to know them as human beings? The business will come, but it's really about getting to know people on a human level. And then if there's a time and a place for someone to help you with something, or vice versa, that'll happen, right? But it's really just getting to know people for who they are, connect on that human level, and that approach will take you so much further than if you focused on the, what can you do for me? And in sports, Jake, we see it all the time. I mean, I get people that reach out to me all the time because they of my network, and they want me to connect them with somebody else. And they don't really care about Jen Garrett. They care about who Jen Garrett knows. And it comes through, and you don't want to be that person, because then nobody wants to connect with you. It leaves a sour taste in their mouth. So don't be what one of my podcast guests called an asshole. Like, don't be someone who's just focused on connecting with people to make asks. It's about building relationships. And I know you know this, Jake, and that will serve you so much further. So I think that approach is important. And then also it's like, okay, I got it, Jen. That's how I should approach networking. But who should I be networking with? Well, that's going to depend on what your goals are. So what I tell people, and as you know, Jake, I recently released a series of Move the Ball career focused workbooks, one on mastering strategic networking. It's identifying what your goals are, and then who are the people that you should be connected to? What industries are you interested in? What companies are you interested in? And then building out a plan to, how do you get on those people's radars? How can you connect with them, perhaps on LinkedIn or some other social media platform, so that you can build these meaningful relationships? But you got to put yourself out there. I think that's an important part, is you have to put yourself out there. You have to have your quote unquote pitch. Like, why would they want to connect with you, right? And keep in mind, it's not about you. It's about how you can serve them. It's not well, I just want you to give me your time. Like you're asking someone to connect with you and allow them into or allow you into their space and their circle. Why would they want to do that? And when you focus on the service part of that or how you can be a benefit to them, people are more willing to want to connect with you. And I'll share one example and then I'll close because I know I've been talking quite a bit here. But Jake, you know that I have a real estate license. It's not my primary thing, but I have it to serve people that are looking for help in that arena. And so yesterday we had our annual, my real estate brokerage had our annual, we call it Expo in Chicago. And so it's always fantastic, well done. And we had a speaker, John B, I forgot his last name. B or D now. Uh-oh. But anyway, John was a magician on America's Got Talent, played in the NFL for 14 seasons, most of them with the Eagles. And then after that, he went and on to America's Got Talent. And he didn't win the whole thing, but he got invited back to be part of the champions group and compete again. And so he did very well on the show. That guy is an amazing magician, amongst other things, including being a football player. And he told these powerful stories of things he had gone through in his life, including his dad killing his mom, first degree premeditated murder. He was convicted of second degree. But I mean, it was such a powerful story. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy would be amazing on my podcast, just given the people that I have on the show, many of which are NFL players. And I think he would bring a lot to my audience. So what I did was I looked him up on social media and I went to Instagram because he was on LinkedIn but didn't have a huge presence. So I went on Instagram. There was an email button. Click the button. I saw the email address was to somebody named Tim. So I sent a note to Tim and I said, hey, Tim, I'm sitting here at this Expo in Chicago, blah, 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 blah. Talked about how much I enjoyed hearing John's presentation and how he would be an awesome fit for my podcast and why. And hit send, right? Tim and I went back and forth yesterday. Long story short, Tim and I are talking later this week and we're looking at having John on the podcast. Hopefully sometime next month, and then it will release during season 6 of my show. But I mean, it's just, but again, it was focused on not how great I was, but it was like how much I enjoyed John, his presentation, what it meant to me, and why I thought it would be good for us to collaborate. Like that's how you network. It's not about you and what you want from that other person. It's how you can be of value and how maybe collaborating in this case with a podcast would be important. It doesn't have to be about a podcast. It could be, hey, I just want to get to know you. I've seen your content on LinkedIn. I think you're someone that's, a thought leader in my space. Would love to connect. Something like that. But really focusing on the human element of it. It's not about transactions. It's not about business. So I think I've said enough there, but that's really my message today is first, whatever you commit to, honor those commitments and make sure you follow through on them. And then separately, on the side of more personal development and focused on your career and your business or your brand, make sure you're focusing on creating that brand that you want and then making sure that it is consistent online and in person with what you want people to think about when they think of your name. And then figure out how do you use that brand to build meaningful and strategic connections with people in your industry so that you can get to where you want to go from a career or just from maybe it's personal projects that you're interested in, fun things, but make sure you're being strategic and intentional with who you're networking with. And if it's not comfortable for you, then the only way you're going to get comfortable with doing it is by doing it, right? And practicing and those reps, you got to put in the reps and you'll get better at it as you go. And so yeah, that's my message. I guess I'll just put this little plug. If you want help with your brand and you want help with mastering your strategic networking, I would invite you to go check out these workbooks that I mentioned. They're on the executiveedgeplaybook.com. And they're going to walk you through a lot of critical thinking questions and exercises to help you master these topics. So that's what I've got for today. Hopefully you found this information helpful, insightful, and you put some of these things into practice so that you can continue to move the ball.
Boy, you probably saw me scribbling down all those notes during your presentation. Our regular listeners, they know all about the books, the podcast. Now they've got a new place, executiveedgeplaybook.com, for our new listeners, let's go ahead and share. If they want to connect with Jen Garrett. And listeners, you've got a tremendous resource here. How are all the ways that they can connect with Jennifer Garrett?
Yeah, the best way is to go on. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you just put the hashtag move the ball in the search bar, I should pop up or my content, and then you can go to my profile and follow me there. You can send me a message there. Always love hearing from people. So, please reach out if I can be of service or if you have questions. Or if you just want to share, you listen to the show and something you liked. Like I always like hearing that feedback as well. We talked about the executive edge playbook.com. That goes to my main site too. So you've got all my contact info there. Would love for you to check out the Move the Ball podcast and hopefully hear John's episode next year when it comes out in season 6. But yeah, those are the best ways to get a hold of me, LinkedIn or go to my website.
Okay. Well, Jen, all the best with the new Executive Edge playbook. Appreciate all you do for the profession of leadership. Keep on leading. Good luck to those that Alabama football team. I don't know. My Ducks are looking pretty strong right now.
They are, yes, they are looking great. It's good to be number one, right? But yeah, we'll see. It'll be an interesting season here, as you know, with the 12 team CFP format. It'll be different this year, and people are talking about how Alabama still has a chance. They got to beat LSU, so we'll see. Take it one day at a time. I will say, college football has been so exciting this year, just to see all the upsets and the movement, and that's what makes it fun.
Oh no, absolutely. It's been great for fans. Thanks again. All the best. Remember, listeners, Jennifer Garrett, Move the Ball podcast, the books, Move the Ball, Dominate the Game, and make sure you go to, I'm going to say it right, executiveedgeplaybook.com. That's going to connect you with all things Jennifer Garrett. Jen, all the best. We'll see you on your next regular segment on Wednesday Wisdom, but thanks again for sharing with our listeners.
Perfect. Thank you so much again.
For our listeners, we do want to say thanks and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of each interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Tech Tuesday just about every week, and just about every day, we try to share stories and best practices on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, we do want to give a shout out to all of our great sponsors. Let's go and start with Ohio University. I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but my assistant AD did. It's a great experience. You should check it out. ohio.edu/info/MAA. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. That's hometownticketing.com. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touch screen video consoles. We'd like to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com for more information. We want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for everything. Talk to the folks at athleticsurveys.com. You're going to be very glad you did. We want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is one of those platforms you're going to use every single day. Go to homecampus.com to get started. We want to say thanks to SnapRaise, hands down, the best online fundraiser out there. Go to snapraise.com for more information. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You'll find out more information at hometownticketing.com. We want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. And we want to say thanks to Gipper. Your students are on social media, and if you want to create great social media content, you need to use Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast.